Hands reached up for
Hello, and welcome back to the Joyfully Free Journey podcast. I'm your host, Lacey Reaves, and today is a solo episode with yours truly, where we dive into a topic, something that I am either passionate about or going through in real time. And today is the latter. I'm passionate about it, but I am actually going through it in real time. So we're going to be leaning into the free side of Joyfully Free. If you've been watching this podcast for any length of time, you'll know that I'm all about finding the things that bring you joy and living authentically free. But sometimes that does not feel good. Sometimes that can be very challenging because we go through hard times. And so today, that is exactly what I want to talk about. How to still show up joyful and authentic even when it's hard. And so I am excited to just share a couple of things that I've actually been going through, and maybe we can go through this thing together and find some joy in the midst of a difficult time. So, a little bit of story time. This is a very busy season for me. I work in the ministry space. I serve at my local church, and it is what we like to call the Super Bowl time. Not literally the Super Bowl, but this part of the year is one of the biggest attendance times for us because we're very near to Easter. In fact, at the time of this recording, I had to practice what I preached today because I had a very full day in the office, doing other things, doing extracurriculars, and I still wanted to keep my commitment to myself to be consistent with the podcast. So I'm recording it in real time and I will be publishing it probably the next day. So all that to say, life has been full, life has been busy and a little bit unexpected. So today I am just going to walk you through what I have been doing to maintain my joy even when it's hard and to continue showing up when things don't feel the best and when things are potentially a little bit out of our control, a little bit chaotic in life. So the first thing that has been helping me is really being honest about what's going on. So number one, if you're taking notes, if you're a note taker like me, you might want to get out a little notepad or take some notes on your phone. Number one, get honest. We cannot address any issues, any challenges that we don't first acknowledge. A very dear friend of mine that I really admire and respect, Pastors Lee and Denise Boggs, they said, God cannot heal what you do not reveal. Now, this is a spiritual way of describing it, but it is true in everyday life. We cannot address a problem that we do not first acknowledge. So first, be honest. Be honest about the thing that is either frustrating you, challenging you, overwhelming you, potentially causing a little bit of anxiety or angst in any sort of way, or what is an obstacle? What is an obstacle that you're now facing that was unexpected? And sometimes it's not really a challenge, it's just a change, right? So a lot of the anxiety that I felt throughout my life that I've had to work through has been when my plans change, when something doesn't go as expected. It can trigger me to get anxious, but I've learned tools on how to fight that. And so acknowledging how I feel is the first step that I found to help me tackle the issue. As I mentioned, we can't solve a problem before we identify it. So this is an opportunity when you're getting honest to take some time to reframe the challenge. So for me, things are getting really busy. My default is I'm overwhelmed. This is hard. I can't do this. These are all automatic negative thoughts that just automatically pop up. I don't even have to think about it before they come to my mind. So reframing this challenging time, even I can reframe it by changing what I say. So instead of saying, this is hard, this is impossible, I'm overwhelmed, this is a challenging time, but I'm working through it. See, that's different. We're still describing the challenge, but we're acknowledging that the challenge isn't taking us down. The challenge is just the opportunity for us to work through it. So that's the first step, is being honest and also taking inventory of what might be overwhelming you and try to reframe it. The second thing that I like to do when things seem a little bit chaotic in life and I'm trying to find my true north, again, is get help. For me, that means doubling down on my time with God. Yes, that is a spiritual principle and a spiritual practice. And it also helps my mental health. It helps me spiritually and mentally. It helps ground me. Journaling helps declutter my thoughts. It's also a really great practice in general. Brain dumping, something that I like to do often. If I find myself overwhelmed, I'll just take a piece of paper, not this size, usually it's a lot bigger, but a piece of paper, and I just brain dump, because in my brain is taking up, these things are weighing down my brain and I'm not able to critically think about them. So I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm getting emotional, and I'm not actually able to look at the problem and see it. So getting honest kind of ties into getting help. So be honest about what is frustrating you or overwhelming you or challenging you by writing it down. Once you see it, then you know how to get help. Do I need to loop in a friend? Do I need to reach out to a resource, a mentor? One of my resources that I absolutely love to pull on are my community, my tribe, and also my counselor. So reaching out to resources that can help me either process or mark something off of my list. Also, a trusted friend, an advisor, a mentor, or even a spouse or friend, they can help you even start to prioritize, because that's another thing. Our brains are firing signals that are putting us into fight or flight mode. And so if we can take a look, take a step back, get some perspective, write everything down, that I can actually see, oh, I'm worrying about dinner, the dishes, but balancing my budget, work, putting air in my tire, um, cleaning up for company, just different things like that. I'm worrying about all those, but everything is not urgent. It feels like everything is urgent, but really, if you look at it, things might be urgent, but they may not be important. They feel urgent because we might be overwhelmed or things might be hard. But once I take a look at my list and recognize, where do I need help on this list? Who can help me with something? And even maybe someone can just be a sounding board for me and say, hey, friend, I know you're worried about that, but you don't have to do that right away. You can handle that next week. And so the things that are remaining on the list are kind of like my hit list, like my top 3. I can't always get it to 3 items only, but they're the most urgent thing. Today, I had work. On my way to work, I had to make a call. So I chose to make a call on my way to work. Then when I was on break, I got a chance to catch up with a family member who had a birthday. So that was one thing that was weighing heavy on my mind, because I wasn't able to see them, but I wanted to speak with them. After that, I had a practice. I had an extracurricular activity, but I still had to record the podcast. So in my brain, there are things that I have to do tomorrow, but I could not think about the things that I needed to do tomorrow because I really just needed to focus on today. So number 2 is get help. Help allows us to get a perspective, locate our priorities, and come up with the action plan. Number 3, this might sound very simple, but give grace. Give grace to yourself, first of all, and give grace to others, because sometimes when we are all in our head, when we are finding it hard to show up and maybe overwhelmed by a task, a busy season in life, we can sometimes be hard on ourselves and hard on others for not being overwhelmed like we are. I do that a lot. I can feel very overwhelmed, and it kind of comes out sideways with a little attitude to my husband. I'm like, aren't you worried about this? And he's like, actually, no, I'm not worried about this. And I'm a little bit upset that he's not upset like me, but he has a different perspective. He sees things differently and they affect him differently. So I can show him grace, because just because I'm overwhelmed, he's not overwhelmed. Another thing that grace allows us to realize is that the feelings that we are feeling are very valid, but they are not always the truth. Our feelings are horrible umpires. They are horrible umpires. If we did everything that we felt like doing, oh my goodness, I probably would never get up in the morning because I don't like getting up early. So even though things don't feel good, that doesn't mean that they're not good. Vice versa. Just because something feels good doesn't mean that it is good. Things that don't feel good aren't always bad. They're just a challenge. It's an opportunity for us to grow. And so giving grace for ourselves looks like taking a step back and recognizing that the feelings that I'm feeling are very valid, but they are temporary. And so if I can remember that, then I can allow myself to go through a busy season, a tough season, and still show up, still have my joy. I'm actually very baffled that I have this much energy at the end of the day. Even though I had so many things on my list, it was because I set an intention and I gave myself grace. Yes, I wish I would have recorded this podcast probably 3, 4 days ago, but I was tired because of the brisk pace that life has been going at. But giving myself grace allows me to show up authentically, even if it's off my anticipated timeline, and recognize, like, hey, you're doing the best that you can do. And hey, that's okay. We have to show ourselves that grace. Another point that I wanted to say is that, especially if you're transitioning or if you've lost something, there's usually a grieving period attached. What does that mean? What does that look like? So, if there was a plan that I had that wasn't able to come to fruition, there's an unmet expectation that I now have. So I thought something was going to happen. It didn't happen. And my expectation wasn't met. And oftentimes when we're processing those unmet expectations, it feels like loss. And what do we do with loss? We have to grieve it. We have to acknowledge it if we're going to move forward. So showing ourselves grace means taking time to do what we said in point one. Be honest with our feelings, recognize that things are not happening the way that I anticipated it. Sit with that and recognize, okay, even though it didn't happen the way I thought, I'm going to have to let that go, not ignore it, just recognize that it didn't happen. It probably won't happen. And because of that, I need to give myself some grace in the situation. Maybe someone caused a change that we didn't expect. I have to give that person grace. I have to forgive. I have to forgive myself, even if I didn't meet my own expectation. I have to give myself grace. So, how this applies to me in my own life. First of all, the being honest part, wow. It has been a very challenging time. I've been walking through some health challenges. And by challenges, I mean just some new things that I was very unaware of. I've been on a health journey. I've been trying to be more active, eat better, and make sure I'm doing my regular checkups, visiting with my doctors on a regular basis. And I got some things that wasn't that great. And I had to be really honest about what that felt like, because the weight of the change and the weight of the busy season has made it really challenging to show up. Getting help, what that looks like is leaning into my community, therapy, coworkers, friends, family that can support me, that empathize with what's going on in my life. They're not coddling me. They're very empathetic, but they know, Lacey, this isn't going to take you down. They speak life over me. And sometimes you have to borrow someone else's confidence that things are going to get better. Because sometimes when we're in the midst of it, we're just overwhelmed by our emotions. Our emotions are signaling very loud, and it's hard to see past it. I've recently heard a speaker say sometimes when we don't have confidence, we have to borrow confidence. They were actually speaking about March Madness and a viral clip that has gone viral with one of the university players and her coach. And her coach was very much in her face, and some people were having some negative things to say about it. But this speaker actually spoke to the elitism of this athlete, the elite level that this athlete performs on, so much so that that athlete actually likes being coached hard. She likes being coached. She likes her coach challenging her because she knows about herself that she will rise according to the level that she's being coached at. So this coach went all in. She got in her face. She's yelling at her, but she is actually saying, I believe in you. You can do this. Don't give up. You're almost there. Something to that effect. And so sometimes when we're going through hard seasons, we have to borrow confidence from someone else, someone that can speak to our situation, that knows us, knows our character, knows what we're capable of, and can speak to that potential. And then giving grace to ourselves, giving grace to others, recognizing that this situation may not have been what we expected it to be, but it will not take us down. Having that confidence that, I'm going to quote a scripture here, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. That is what I believe is in Timothy. Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. That's borrowed confidence. If we don't have confidence, know that our Savior, our Creator, the one who made us, has so much greatness in us, and he's given it to us because he is great, is greater than anything adverse that can come against us in my life, in my health, mentally, against my relationships, my marriage, my calling, my purpose. Greater is he that is in me. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So, as I mentioned, I'm applying this in real time right now. I actually was tossing back and forth last night, trying to figure out what am I going to talk about. And it dropped on me like a ton of bricks. As soon as I opened my eyes, showing up when it's hard. Sometimes life is hard. Sometimes we're walking through a hard season. Sometimes something has happened that is weighing us down, that wants to take us down, but we don't have to go down. So in my personal life, I'm on a health journey. But what journey are you on? Maybe you're transitioning. Maybe you're transitioning roles. Maybe friendships are transitioning. Maybe you had to say not yet to a dream that you thought would have been realized right now in your life. Maybe you're not as far along in your journey as you thought you would be at this time in your life. I don't know what it is for you, but whatever it is, you're not alone. I am seeing doctors. I'm working on my health. Even the topic of surgery recently came up and it took me down. And I'm realizing these are the things that make it difficult to show up. But how do we stay joyful, and how do we live in authenticity and show up in a way that feels authentic even when it's hard? Doing these things. Number 1, get honest. Number 2, get help. And number 3, give grace. We cannot tackle any problem that we don't first acknowledge. And God cannot heal what you do not first reveal. Just know that help is not a sign of weakness. It is actually a sign of strength. It's a sign of self-awareness, knowing that you cannot tackle all of this on your own. You're leaning into your strength. You're leaning into the strength of your tribe and your community, those who care about you and those who want to see you succeed. And lastly, giving grace, that's not just for ourselves, that's for others. That's giving grace for the situation, acknowledging, grieving the things that haven't happened yet, grieving the plans that did not come to pass, and realizing that things are different, but also giving yourself some grace. Because I always like to say, an obstacle is an opportunity for God to show himself strong on my behalf. I had to reframe the obstacles that I was facing. And after a while of reframing these challenges as opportunities, and my feelings of overwhelmness as being deeply invested, and realizing that I needed to continue to be deeply invested. These are the things that make me, but I also have to recognize that my strengths can also become a challenge when pushed too far. So not holding so tightly to the things that I feel like should be happening, to the way that I want people to respond to me, to the things that I think the way that my life should go, because we are not in control ultimately. But giving grace to ourselves, giving grace to others, and recognize that grace is needed for each and every day that we are alive on this planet. And so I hope that you have these as takeaways, but I would love to know what your 3 things are, 4 or 5. How are you showing up right now in times of difficulty? When things feel hard, when things feel tough, how do you continue to show up? I would love to hear that from you. And also, if you're looking for a purpose partner on this journey towards joy and freedom, I'm your girl. I would love to have a complimentary exploratory coaching call with you to hear about what are the things that you're finding uh, hindrances to your joy, hindrances to you feeling and living out your most authentic story. If you're interested in coaching, check the link in the description box below for this episode and check out my calendar. I would love to schedule a call with you. And if you're part of the Joyfully Free Journey family and have not yet subscribed to my channel, please be sure to go on YouTube, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a follow so you'll be notified the next time a new episode drops. And with that, that is the end of our discussion today. Thank you for hanging out with me, hearing a little bit about where I am on my journey and some things that I've picked up along the way to help me continue to maintain my joy and walk in an authentic manner. And until next time, I pray and I hope that you have the boldness to pursue the things that bring you joy and live authentically free. See you next time. Bye-bye.
I am joyfully free.